Yeah, really fun.
All right, everybody, let's get started. All right, let's get started, everybody. Let's keep the crosstalk to a minimum. First on the agenda is public comment. Would anybody in the audience have anything they want to discuss as public comment?
I would.
State your name for the record, please.
It's Mary E. Marsh.
Thank you, Mary.
It's in regards to the sludge landfill, the current sludge landfill. This afternoon at 4:45, I went to St. John's Cemetery. I had been at Notre Dame all afternoon. I did not smell the terrible odor of the sludge at Notre Dame, but when I got to St. John's, it was really overpowering. I attempted to call Veolia to report it and kept getting phone busy, call back on my phone up until 6 o'clock. So the reporting of foul odors is not easy.
Thank you. Before the end of the meeting, or at the end of the meeting, just give me the number you were calling. I'll just cross-reference it.
Certainly.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Alan Russo,
One of
11 Betty Spring Road. I visited the landfill site on Saturday after the storm activity had happened, particularly on Saturday AM hours. I did send the Conservation Commission an email with some photographs that I took. I don't have all the email address. I apologize for that. I know there's been a lot of changes, but I'll get caught up with that eventually. I'm sure Justin will get things around. But on the photographs, I started with outfall pipe 2, which has been, that outfall pipe has been discharging to the wetland area. Considerable amount of water in there. There was a siltation barrier set up, and it was, at least half to 3/4 filled with liquid. And I'm using the word liquid because I'm really not sure what's in there. I don't want to overuse the word water. We know that the rainfall is causing that and mixing with it. But anyhow, that was filled. It was not eroding, but seeping underneath some of the sedimentation barrier, that smaller one. And the whole rest of the area is out there with, regular muck boots. And I was in a foot to at least a foot, maybe 15 inches of water, trying to observe what was going on. Without sampling equipment, what I saw was water that was murky, even though it was fresh rainfall. Could indicate sediment, I don't know. But that whole expanded sedimentation basin was all full of water. I mean, it's functioning like a detention basin, but it's not really a detention basin because it's releasing. And then when you go beyond that, you can still see muckiness further south into the wetland. Now, one of the other pictures I showed was when you're on the fence line and you're looking up into that area upstream from outfall pipe 2. You can see where they've put some material there to try to stabilize the slope. Well, around the west side of that area, I can see channels that indicate erosion. Now, by the time I got out there, there wasn't water flowing there, but it's obvious it's flowing there. The check dam is there at the bottom. It's a huge check dam. But my concern with that whole thing as you look further up in the slope is that liquid that is flowing off from the containment area where the sludge is. So that brings me to the second thing that I sent you, which is a DMR report. These are done, I think these are federally required because it discharges to outside to a wetland area, so it's discharge monitoring report. It's showing 3 areas where there were exceedances out of the 4. So I'm not sure why Viola isn't here to try to explain this, but I got this from the project manager, Joe Zdravny. The other thing is PFAS. I sent you the most recent quarterly PFAS report. The PFAS is tested in sludge now. It's been so since the middle of 2023. So I requested through public records request, it's in there. Again, my concern, I know I'm running up on the time here. So in wrapping up, main concern is not just runoff and erosion of sediment. I'm worried about hazardous chemicals. They're in the sludge. We know they're in the sludge, PFAS. We know that 1,4-dioxane is in there, and that has come off site. So, I'm kind of surprised, I don't see the DPW department here tonight, the owner of the landfill, nor do I see the operator of the landfill, Veolia, that was discussed at the last Conservation Commission meeting. Don't know why they're not here, but this issue's gotta be addressed. It's not going away on its own. If a larger rainfall event happens, it's gonna get more of it. So that's really all I have for you tonight. If you have any questions on what I've sent them, you can always reply to me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment? All right, next is the meeting minutes from, we're still getting caught up. The meeting minutes back from Monday, January 27th, 2025.
I'll make a proposal, we vote that the meeting then.
Someone like to make a second that one? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So moved as approved. Nothing for request for certificate of compliance on the enforcement order on the sludge landfill. We just heard from Mr. Russo. If you could follow up on that email and check in. I know we have not heard from DEP, and I thought we did talk about having them come back. Could you follow up in writing on that request? And I also put a note on here. Could you get the reports from the last few significant rainfalls per their own maintenance records too? Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just clarifying, I thought we requested them to come to this meeting, was that not?
We did.
Oh,
We did or we did?
We did.
You did.
so I'm just clarifying, they blew it off,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When do we start talking about more serious response?
Soon. Yeah, I think it's prudent to get going on it because it's been months. They had not attended all the other meetings. There's a standing enforcement order. In my mind, they should be here until it's closed. There's no communication. We have others on here in enforcement orders, and we're getting constant communication from them. I understand the DEP has not responded. We've reached out. But that doesn't mean we don't carry on with the people that work for the city. I mean, we're city employees as well, and we're asking for them to provide more information. They did send out some communication, but it really didn't qualify anything further than what we were looking for. Go ahead, Dave.
I was just gonna, maybe just double down on the fact that we asked them for a formal presentation of what they're actually doing beyond what they just said verbally, including these latest rain events, and whether that current structure that exists down there is actually functioning properly anymore, right? It looks clearly like it is not,
No, it's failing,
so.
especially in outfall too. I mean, it's.
And then site remediation still is an open question, so.
I'd like to hear from the contractor.
Yeah, we asked, and what we asked the last time,
Yeah, they never showed
well, they
up.
report to me, but they weren't, we've asked again, so we'll say it for record. We would like, Viola and the DPW director or the assistant director to attend our meeting and give us an update where they stand in their process. I don't want to accept that DEP hasn't responded as something that's just gonna make it go away. It still should be some remediation, and some repairs beyond what they've done so far. It's not rectifying the issue, it's a slight patch, and with the recent rains, I'm gonna again ask for the record, all the reports they've had for the last 2 to 3 weeks with all the significant rainfall. What's been done, and then the next meeting, we'll make this we'll take it to the next step. Go ahead.
One final thing, in the testing of whatever happened out there,
Yes,
and we
again.
should probably test again.
Yeah.
With all this new stuff coming out.
You can end that in the communication.
Yep. So again, just put it in writing, copy the commission, and maybe we need to start copying the mayor, I don't know. That's,
Yeah.
probably should.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they're not blowing it off, I'm sure they're trying, but we're not seeing it.
Make sure the mayor is wise too.
Yep.
Justin, can you forward me the photographs too? I don't think of those.
The ones for that, oh, those were just sent at the end of the day. So,
Oh, okay.
You might have done, I got them late.
Okay.
Nicholas, did you get them?
I did not check.
Yeah, I mean, we're all busy, so. I just sent them again, I sent them over to you, make sure you get them.
I think they'll come in with your email, I didn't receive them prior.
Yeah, it's probably gonna take a few minutes because of it. So. All right, well, gonna keep that open, and do you have any questions on the correspondence and or requests from the commission, Justin? Okay. And then, Nicole Terrace,
Hand delivery. Don't email it, hand deliver it.
do both.
Oh, yeah, do both, yeah.
I like that idea, thank you. So in the 36 Nicole Terrace, we did get an email from Mary Ann, and she does talk about some of the work that's been done so far. Everybody has that communication in the package.
Yeah. She's not gonna be here tonight?
She's asking for a continuance, right?
I believe that she'll
Yeah.
have a lot of
We asked for her to,
reporting
I think
done
it-
for
what was it?
first meeting in June.
Yeah, so we gave her some time to get all this done,
Okay.
Yeah.
and she is doing it.
Yeah.
It's just, we asked for some more communication, and some updates.
And in the meantime, I'm constructing the addendums for both of those enforcement orders as well, I think, to include that vegetation monitoring period that was discussed.
So this is for 36 Nicole Terrace, anything on 282 Brookside?
No, but I did receive an email on Friday, or Friday, saying that she'd be going over there to further evaluate the situation over there.
Okay. So would someone like to make a motion to continue 36 Nicole Terrace to the 9th?
I'll make a motion to continue to the 9th.
Someone second that?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the same thing on the 282 Brookside Drive, would someone like to make a motion to continue to the 9th of June?
I'll make a motion to continue to the 9th of June.
Thank you, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is a notice of intent for 0 Betty Spring Road. The Gardner Conservation Commission will hold a joint public hearing under MGL Chapter 131, Section 40 in the Wetlands Protection Act and City of Gardner Wetlands Protection Ordinance. A notice of intent filed by Gardner Consulting LLC on behalf of Winecrest Properties for the proposed construction of a single-family home, driveway, and associated utilities. This project is located off Betty Spring Road in Gardner. It's map R27-25-24, and a portion of the work is set to occur within the buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland. It's DEP 160-0675. State your name for the record.
Good evening, for the record, Justin LeClaire, McCarty Engineering. Also with me is Andrew T-Ball of Gardner Consulting. So last time we were in front of the commission, we ironed out the majority of the details. The last 2 open items was soil testing for the rain garden, as well as relocating the underdrain for said rain garden. So just to remind the commission, there's a pocket of wetland down here. You have your 30-foot no out, 60 no build. The 100 buffer comes in here, we're proposing a driveway up into the slope, single family home, retaining walls, some off-grade, a piece of diaphragm here, that comes down to said rain garden. So first thing I'll talk about is the underdrain. Originally we had the underdrain here in the center of the rain garden and poking directly straight out into the 30 no alt. Based on elevations, that was the only spot we could put it after talking with DPW and engineering. They are allowing us to connect said underdrain into the catch basin located here, next to the wetland system. So this catch basin takes in runoff from the road, goes under Bay Spring Road and discharges down the slope and then into the pond. So all we're proposing to do is come out from the rain garden, come into the shoulder of the road, down the shoulder of the road between the edge of pavement as well as the existing utility pole and tie into the back of the catch basin. So that was one item. Second item was soil testing. So I did go out on site. City engineer did come out, witness the testing. I did add the test pit data to the plan. We found groundwater to be at 3 feet, so our rain garden is approximately 1 foot above groundwater. Because I'm not accounting for infiltration in the rain garden, we don't have to meet the minimum 2 foot offset as part of the stormwater standards. So with that, those were the two major open items. If the commission has any additional questions, happy to answer them.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Brian.
Just a clarification, so, I guess I forgot about the pipe, so the water's coming through, is that a pipe, the blue magic marker?
Yeah, the blue is
So
the
that's
pipe.
So it's not flowing into the wetlands at all?
No, so there is there is a spillway here, so if anything naturally stages up, it'll overflow
In the rain garden?
in the rain garden. But the pipe, because of the depth of groundwater and the way that these rain gardens are designed and built, you put the end drain in them to make sure that they do fully draw down. Because in the event of back-to-back heavy storms, especially here, and even though we do have an agreement with DPW that we can do a little bit of grading in the shoulder, if the under drain isn't here, back-to-back heavy rain events, there's a potential for this rain garden to flood over onto Berry Spring Road. And I don't know if some of the commissioners have gone down that road, especially, and again, below our site, so it's not the issue of our site, you do get some potential flooding. So with the under drain, especially for where this is needed to not exacerbate that condition.
I got a question for you. At the entrance to that culvert, is that culvert functioning properly?
It is, I did go, I know,
Last time we were out
Last
there,
time-
the road was flooded.
yes, and that was one of the heavy, intense rain events. When I went out there as part of the soil testing, it was, I think, a day after we had rain, so the road wasn't flooded. You could see that the water was being conveyed to the catch basin, and you could hear in the catch basin, see that water was getting in and going out. So I think when we went, it was probably a maintenance issue for DPW to go in and clean that catch basin. But yes, it does function in a capacity.
You didn't happen to
Is it
go
big
out the
enough?
other day.
Yeah,
How big's the pipe? Anybody look, Jack?
I believe it's 12-inch pipe, from what I can see. Again, it's not the cleanest looking catch basin, so it's hard to fully gauge, but your standard pipe in a catch basin like this would be a 12-inch. From what I could see, it was adequate to a 12-inch pipe. And again, the under drain here isn't adding an extreme amount of flow, it's just to wick the bottom of the rain garden. So this under drain is not gonna blow out the size of that pipe. The majority of the flow, if any, from the rain garden is directed to come through the woods and the grass to the wetland naturally.
Go ahead, David.
I just had a question, like how big is that rain garden? And I have no idea if it needs to be a particular size or not, but it's a fairly steep slope that comes down there through that
Yep.
diaphragm, whatever, so.
So the actual size, I forget.
The planting seemed fine, but I was just curious,
Yeah, so.
it looks small and then.
It does, so the
Okay.
reason it's small is we did not size it to fully handle the peak runoff. What we did was we sized it for the 1-inch water quality volume. So based on area and depth is how we get that. And the way I would say this is, it's sized, I maximize the size to reduce the impact to maintain the water quality volume. So if I do anything bigger, yes, I do detain more water, but I'm eating into the slope more, I'm further impacting buffer zones, so I'm trying to balance how big to make it. And this thing is also sized so that it doesn't overtop in any of the rain events. So, and that's our concern, we don't wanna make something so small that no matter what it floods.
Okay.
Justin, so what happens if this rain garden isn't maintained or doesn't
He didn't tell you the
take,
dimensions of it.
or 5 years from now it dies off, what is the plan?
So typically with these, we do provide an operation and maintenance plan. With that, we have the inspection schedule, how it's to be maintained. We have been being asked by commissions to take that O&M and have it attached to the order of conditions, which is then recorded at the registry of deeds. So that O&M is tied to the deed and to the property.
Yeah, that hasn't been working too well for us, and you've probably heard it here.
Yeah.
Is there any other way you can recommend that is attached to the property and they're aware of it, the owners? Could we put a letter in there that they have to acknowledge and get it, you know, notarized and sent back to the commission, they understand that responsibility? Because what's happening is we're finding all these, you know, you can tell, we have these 2 or 3 year enforcement orders, but they didn't know that it was even there. What else do you see?
Really, it's more on the plan side. So with the plan side, we have to file, it's typically a special permit for a stormwater permit in our municipalities, and with that special permit comes set conditions, which is, one of the conditions is stormwater BMPs are to be adequately maintained in accordance with the operation and maintenance plan provided. And again, the O&M is attached to the permit goes to the registry of deeds, is recorded, it's now a recorded document on the registry, it's a legal binding document.
I just don't think the average homeowner, maybe the first person that lives there for 15 years, but the next one, they don't even know what it is.
So, it would come up at the
But
sale.
it hasn't. Well, I
It
should
should,
say,
because
we
it-
have had them come up at the sale.
Because as part of your title search, any permits and anything attached to said permits would come up. So an operation and maintenance plan attached to a special permit, attached to an order of condition, would come up in a title search. And that's why our municipalities have been doing it that way, to make sure it gets caught at the transfer.
Yeah, but what recourse do we have once, say that doesn't take and it's 2 years down the road?
So an instance like this, where the rain garden is adjacent to a wetland resource area, if there's any potential issue with the rain garden, you could potentially see, let's say it's not upkept, let's say there's an exuberant amount of sedimentation in the rain garden. Well, at some point that sedimentation is gonna end up going into the wetland, and at that point, an enforcement order can be acted by the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, but it's a matter of us maintaining that, and we have some of the other properties we're doing the same for. So I guess I know, I'm just trying to pick your brain.
No, and I get where you're trying to go, and it's really, other than tying it to the deed, so it is a recorded document in the registry, and having the power for the enforcement order, it really is like anything, it's hard to get people to.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
I can show you 3 right in town. One is on private property, but the big one is on state property, and they haven't maintained it at all.
So, I
Right.
completely understand, but that's at the behest of the owners.
So we have to be reactive rather than proactive, in a way.
Yeah, and again, it's, in the our municipalities, part of their conditions is to submit annual reports for the stormwater O&M. And that's part of it. In our O&M, we have a checklist, and it's a little table that lists every BMP on site, when it's to be inspected, what's to be done, and there's a spot to sign who did it, and what date, and other municipalities have been requiring that to be annual. Typically you have, depending on the BMP, it's monthly, quarterly, annually, semi-annually. So that could be something that O&M plan to be submitted to the Conservation Commission on an annual basis.
Do you have the O&M plan?
Not on me, but I can forward a PDF of it off that can be attached to the order conditions.
Go ahead.
We can either do that or even be duplicative with having a letter that also explains it.
Well, that's what I mean, I mean, something they have to sign a closing that comes back to us.
So that they can say, yeah, I am aware of this, rather than just having it be a part of some document.
or that. Again, the new stormwater ordinances that are coming into municipalities, a lot of them are in, but some are still being fine tuned. And it is getting homeowners to go by the operation maintenance plan has been a struggle.
So we should go into this assuming that this is not being maintained.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
And so, and it's in a no-build zone, we can assume.
I've been to quite a few closings in my time, right? And you know, and the lawyer, he gives, he lists all the things there, right? And you sign it,
Sure.
nobody reads them. Nobody
So,
reads them.
just to make a point, the rain garden is not in the no disturbance zone.
It's
Just-
right outside.
It's
Yeah.
right outside of it, the only thing within the 30
No builds.
no wall is, yes,
Right.
but, yeah, and it's, a rain garden is a fancier detention basin, so it's just grading, it's a hole with plantings in it.
When will construction start and finish? At least the site work that's in our jurisdiction.
It's to get started, you can call it me, so.
Okay, perfect, so
I think the client's anxious to get started, he's been calling the team asking when the approval's coming, so the expectation would be as soon as, you know, the appeal hearing passes, it's recorded, I believe that it would be as soon as he's able to start, roughly.
Anybody on the commission have any questions or comments?
I just had a question about the, you know, where the driveway is to drain the road.
yeah,
So is it zoning where you couldn't go farther than northwest, or is it, I can't remember the question
So-
though, with the grading.
yeah, so the issue is, we do have, where we are in the corner, we're trying to get away from the corner, as not to hinder sight distances for the driveway. And then based on grading and the existing topography, if we slip this driveway any further up, we would either end up off-grading off our property, or we need a retaining wall at the top. And when I originally did look at trying to shift the driveway up, I ended up at almost a 10-foot retaining wall at one point, which isn't feasible in the construction, and especially putting a retaining wall right up against someone else's property. So that's how we got to where the driveway is now. They're trying to balance as much, reducing the impact within the buffer zones as much as possible, but still being able to grade this and keep some costs in mind. Because again, we do have retaining walls up here, so there is.
I'm gonna ask them the question again, the size of it. What's the size, what's the dimensions of rain garden?
It's about 30 by 30, I'd say.
Yeah. 20, 21, probably, 20 by 10?
That's pretty good.
That's big.
It looks small.
I know, but
Looks big.
It's a large study, so the scale is.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, scope and
okay.
scale to lesser.
How did you determine the size of it?
So again, we base that off of the 1-inch water quality volume. So what we do is we take the 1 inch of the impervious on site, that would be going to the stormwater BMP. We multiply, so if it's 2,000 square feet, multiply that by 1 inch, divide that by 12, you get to your cubic feet. And then we just do area times depth to get the volume that would meet that required water quality volume.
So could
Do
you,
you take any consideration of rainfall?
Yeah, as part of our stormwater model, we take the most recent rainfall data from this area and incorporate that into our model. So on top of size it for the 1 inch water quality volume, this did run into our, it's called HydroCAD. So it ran into our HydroCAD model where we had 2, 10, 25, 50, and 100 year storm events. We route that rainfall intensity through this rain garden to see what our pre-post numbers are. So again, this is sized not only for the water quality volume, but also during those rain events, it does not overtop and flood in any direction. Other than whatever discharges through the allowed spillway. So that's how and that's your typical design for tiny rain gardens to giant stormwater detention basins.
so if we assume it's not maintained in the future, I guess you only put away from the water table, so you couldn't really make it any more deeper.
You could go deeper because at some point, when you get deep enough in your groundwater, you lose that volume because your groundwater is gonna seep into it. So realistically, if they ever decide to change this, it would only be allowed to get bigger this way. So these grades would get pulled tighter and you come bigger this way.
And if we were to make it, say, wider instead of deeper, is that actually gonna accomplish it right? I'm thinking, what,
Not really, because the way that's also, you're gonna pull these grades, you're gonna end up taking more water to it. So,
That's okay.
you get bigger, but you're gonna direct more to it, so you're not getting that trade-off that you're looking for.
Anybody have anything else? Brian, you good?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what else we can do up at that end of that driveway.
Diaphragms there. In there,
I just get worried that rain garden's not gonna make it, cause I mean, the first couple feet of your yard gets abolished with salt.
It's true. None of them are maintained. In fact, none of them have been, there's trees growing up through them, everything like that.
So with this one, so the, can you sort of like just with your finger draw, let's say the watershed? So this, I mean, this is all raised, correct?
Yeah, this is
So
all
this is
raised.
lower, and this is
Yeah.
lower.
Or this is higher, so this all comes this way, but you do have woods and grass in here. This driveway is designed to get directed towards this piece of diaphragm, which, again, we were very conservative in our model. There will be natural infiltration in the piece of diaphragm all the way through to the rain garden. So even though it gets into the piece of diaphragm, there's a volume in here. There is some infiltration, so you do have volume here and you have volume here that takes in all that water, and it'll infiltrate as it comes down the piece of diaphragm. Eventually, whatever's left over, it doesn't get infiltrated, it gets dumped into the rain garden where it's detained. My model did not, again, account for infiltration due to groundwater and being conservative, but realistically, there is a little bit of infiltration that would just naturally occur. So that's really how we do it. We take the proposed grades, we look at, okay, where's everything going? It's directed back towards Berry Spring Road. We take what we can, so these all come down this way, everything gets down to the bottom of the driveway, and there's a low point to direct it back to the rain garden.
Justin, you have any comments on this?
I have no additional comments.
Anybody else have any other comments? Anything? No? So I guess I'm just kinda thinking about bringing it up to a vote, but I'm still stuck on the O&M and how we can figure out a way to get that to be maintained long-term.
I agree with that.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, I know what you're saying, I get it.
So I think conditioning the annual reporting of the O&M is how you do that. Because at that point, pick a date, whatever, April 15th, May 15th, whatever, the commission should be receiving either the actual copy of the O&M filled out, or a letter or something that states when it was inspected, what work was done, if any, or was it found to be in fair condition. The commission should get that. Set date passes, the agent can reach out to the owner and say, where's my report? And either, oh yeah, we'll get it right to you, or if you no response, then you have the grounds for an enforcement order. But I think having that type of condition where it's really, our O&Ms are 2 pages. The first one is the owner is the one operating maintenance of it. We kind of list what they are, what they should be doing. And the second page is a table, again, that just initial, date, submit. So it's not an excessive document that needs to get filled out. It's 1 page.
That's better than what we currently have. We can build an annual reminder, and if we don't get it, we'll move on.
Okay.
It's a little better.
And it's just,
Yeah.
it's a reminder and a check, okay, here's all our O&Ms in the city,
Right.
have it, don't have it, have it, don't have it, and you send out notification for the ones that you don't have.
The problem is we have hundreds of these things that we don't have the ability to maintain with one person in that group already, he's overwhelmed already.
So, the existing ones, you don't have anything for, and it's trying to back.
Well, we have like neighborhoods that have somewhat similar information in
Oh,
their
yeah.
deeds, and they're not doing it.
So.
It's not picking you, I'm just.
No,
Yeah,
and
sorry.
I get it, and I can't speak for the ones that have been previously approved, but to offer the commission something that's more concrete going forward, that the commission could implement in, as part of the commission's special conditions, as part of the order conditions.
Yeah.
It's just trying to understand that, yes, you do have an existing problem that's hard to fix, but at least you could prevent future issues implementing something of that nature.
I mean, do we put a perpetual retainage in there or something where somebody holds for the first 5 years or something? I don't know. I don't know if it's even legal to do. You ever done anything like that before, Brian?
No, I mean, I think we should talk to town council to see about, what, yeah, I can't think of where you put the money in the bank, an escrow or something.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And again, it's not this project, it's.
Now, this one's minimal, but there are others.
Yeah, and so this is something we should figure out how to do
Yeah.
and do going forward forever.
This gets us more than we currently have.
Yep.
So it's a step.
All right, no other questions? I think the bird just had a question, it's on the screen. I was like, what? Someone would like to make a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I mean, I'm fine with the project overall, with the O&M manual and, right recording the deed. I mean, I think that we've done this before, I'm still not sold on it, but this is a small matter for this particular project.
Now, this one we can actually see from the road, sometimes we have to say, allowing us access as part of that,
Yeah.
that deed.
Yeah. All right, would someone like to make a motion to approve the project on 0 Betty Spring Road with the standard order of conditions with the O&M, and the registry of deeds, just to kind of mark that responsibility
As an annual.
as an annual review, yeah? Someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Want a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
We'll get that over to LTU and signed and,
Yeah, and I'll get him the PDF of the owner as well.
yeah. Gonna keep moving forward, New England Air, New England Power, A1, B2 transmission line is asked for continuance to June 9th. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the request for continuance until
I'll make that
June
motion.
9th? Someone to second that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
170 Mill Street, Doug, you said there's starting to fill back up again out there, and Justin, you went out too?
Yeah, went out to Mill Street. Obviously, we haven't had a lot of rain the last week and a half, so there is a lot of water still circulating for a lot of bodies. There's a pretty strong flow going through both.
It needs to be, the boards aren't in, but everything that's come down there is making it like a dam again. The dam should be taken apart.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna again reach out to Dam Safety and ask for another update.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
do it too many more times, and it's at this point where. So I'd like to make a motion to continue 170 Mill Street to June 9th.
I'll make that motion.
So I want to second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next on the new business is 549 West Broadway, the fire and subsequent runoff towards areas of jurisdiction. You have an update on that, Justin?
Yeah, small one. So I did get in contact with both DEP and the retained LSP for the situation at 549 West Broadway. After talking with DEP, it seems as though the majority of the work that was necessary around our jurisdiction was already done and very least impactful because they took the vacuum truck and sucked out the majority of everything. As to what remains there, both on the incident site and jurisdiction, there's no motion to go for emergency certification at this time. I did notify both DEP and the LSP that in the event that it is found that there is some sort of permitting or emergency action needed for any of the remediation work, that the commission and the agent do stand by ready to exchange correspondence and follow best practices in order to make sure that that happens. But at this time, there's no further action required of the commission.
I kinda feel like we haven't heard anything from anybody on this other than some small communication, that we haven't got any type of documents, right, no report of the cleanup and how many gallons and what it was and the testing they've done, is that?
Wasn't part of your package for last meeting though.
Yeah, I know, but I guess I just wanted a synopsis of, unless that's what you have, that's it, there's nothing further to do.
At this time,
So what's the next step? Nothing?
I'm just, they're going to be submitting a report before the DEP deadline. They'll be forwarding us a copy of the report once it's completed.
When's it due?
Should be within, I think it's 60 days from the original accident date.
I'm gonna be getting close though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll loop back around.
Alright, thanks. Thank you, just keep us posted on that. Next is the nature trail update. I did get out there and send some pictures to you. There's some damage on the fence and there's some tire tracks that need to be resolved, the trash needs to be picked up. You kinda see, like, you see what the vehicle's like kind of, yeah. So if you could just kind of address that, and then the silt fence needs to be maintained until the grass catches, right? And I know we've asked that at the last meeting and nothing's happened. If anything, it's getting worse. And there's a lot of kind of ponding where it's kind of coming across, so that needs to be.
I did send the list of punch list items, including, the silt fence repairs, to the engineers to communicate to the contractor to implement. I'm hoping that they'll do it soon, but I will circle back, tomorrow to, urge them to do it with haste.
Okay, now I was talking to Justin, wasn't there signage on there, didn't you ask for signage?
Every 50 feet, and they agreed to it.
Yeah, it's the standard sign that's already next to the cemetery.
That's right.
Close to there, where it
For
says that it's a
drinking.
protected water.
Yeah.
It's the exact same sign. When we talked about it before, somebody said
It's the
that was
chain
easy to
fence.
do.
Well,
We have that.
Yep,
Chain link fence.
yeah, it's up,
Is it black?
yeah, it looks good, there's one spot that, like I said, that's damaged, that needs to be rectified, but.
Was it only supposed to be a chain link fence, or wasn't there supposed to be webbing on it?
No, chain link fence,
Yeah,
it's
they were
black,
It's chain
black
link.
in color.
Yeah, it looks good,
Okay.
I got a
Because
picture.
it's just there.
Yeah, I mean,
6 inches off the ground, so a little
Yeah.
rabbit can get through.
Yeah, it meets that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, I'd like a payment update, and, I'd like the commission or any one of the commission members, sign off on final retainage release. Cause I wanna make sure that we're all happy with it before, we don't want another issue where it's paid out and we have nothing to fall back on.
We talked about.
The overall, it does look nice and people are using it.
They're driving down the road, all the road railroad bed.
Yeah, I know, well, that's,
I didn't understand.
We need a rock to put in there, something that can be moved out and put it in now.
but the pedal bikers are going down there too.
No, that's fine, but you don't want people driving off of, coming
Oh,
back.
coming from, pulling up to the power station, taking a left? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying they're coming off the road that goes to the municipal golf course. They're driving down the old railroad bed.
Ooh,
Really?
Yeah,
Where again? Where is this? At the top? I'm sorry, I'm
It's
not.
not bottom.
no. Where the railroad bed is still being used
Over by
for the
the-
bike trail, right?
Yeah, over by the
Go
power plant.
all, they're driving in there.
Can you show Justin, where that,
Is it where the intersection is at Park Street, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the other end of it.
okay, can you just look into that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay,
You know, you don't wanna put something permanent,
yeah, something could be
a
moved
rock
as we
would
get going.
slow it up.
Yep. Go ahead, Dave.
I mean, I think you mentioned, but some of those, like, socks, whatever, like buried
Yeah, I know.
by that one
Some of them,
cement culvert, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like you can't even see
yeah,
it.
I saw that, I think that's one of the pictures I sent you last week, yeah, or the week before, yeah. Yeah,
It's like almost gone.
yeah, I sent them some saying, cause what's happening is it's, the way
It's
it's
really soft too, so it's just kind of.
yeah, and the way the water was running down that, it was kind of cascading over that way, so it wasn't really going through the pipe, so they did fix that when they put the top coat over, so they kind of corrected some of that too, but there's still one area, it's got a little bit of an issue, so just follow up. And, if you could kind of email us that punch list that you sent over to, the time bond, or who was it?
Yeah, it was time bomb.
Yeah, you wanna be able to maintain that punch list, probably in Procore, I can log in and look. Thanks. Anybody have anything else with the nature trail? We'll continue and leave it open though? No? Alright, next is Haley Ward, and FWP Realty Partners LLC, preliminary permitting discussion, proposed substation off of Pearl Street, Gardner, Mass. It's map W32 14-8, W32-1-14, and W37-21-1. You can state the names for the record too, please.
My name is Anthony Cleves with Haley Ward, also here from Haley Ward's Green Machine, on behalf of FWB. Dan, thank you for your time tonight, Chairman and Commission members. We're here before you to try to get some preliminary feedback from the commission. We have, I'm trying to hold it up. We're very preliminary stages on a possible subdivision for properties that, here on the right side of the plan, we have Pearl Street, and up here top left is Matthews Street. There's two existing properties, kind of separated by an old road up in here, and it continues here. So what we're looking at doing is connecting the properties together, and having a residential subdivision going through there. And so what we've highlighted here in this plan, I think similar to the PDF that we had sent in, highlighted in green are the wetland resource areas, and then the various buffer zones that you guys have for your bylaws. The red is the non-disturbance zone, the orange is the no-build zone, and then the purple is the 100-foot buffer zone. We're going to turn a little bit to so they get. So, two areas of interest, one, the biggest one, we have a couple wetland crossings that we foresee would need to happen in order to connect these together. Coming in off of Pearl Street, so in kind of the dark here is what the potential subdivision road would be to bring us from one side to the other. So coming in off of Pearl Street, there's wetlands in the front there, so what we're gonna do is try to come as far away from wetlands as we can, up along the side of the property line. Have a little bit of wetland filling in this corner down in here. And then we get into the high and dry part of the property, some loop roads in there. And then there's another larger wetland system kind of in the center of the potential project. So this is where we would have a crossing for the roadway to go through there. And you get back into kind of the high and dry portion of the other part of the project, connecting back out onto Matthews Street. And so that's kind of a general sense. We've been to development review board of the city. I'm trying to facilitate some comments from all department heads. We want to obviously come to meet with you folks to see if this is something that is entertainable from the commission with the wetland crossings. This one, as you can see, a decent crossing. We probably have to have retaining walls to try and minimize the amount of filling, absolutely for that. It's really the roadway that would be the impact, all the houses and lots we try and get out of the buffer zone, but those are details that we would end up working out with you once we have a real project before you, but this being a big part of it, we wanted to try and get some input to see if this is even something that you could see entertaining as a possible project. Any knee-jerk questions or anything?
I have a knee-jerk question. I'm just curious, I don't know enough about zoning and roads. You can't come off of 140
Oh, God, no.
This one.
down lower?
The main road.
The main road.
Okay.
Yeah, we're.
Yeah,
Well, we don't,
yeah.
no, that's a no access,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
it's
state road.
Yeah.
Well, the state roads are various,
Yeah, you can't get
no
a curb
access
cut in the state.
points,
Yeah,
yeah,
I got it.
yeah.
What's the benefit to connecting these two?
Yeah, so basically we have, planning board subdivision requirements, you have a maximum length of dead end roads. So it becomes from a safety standpoint,
What is the maximum length of a dead end road in Gardner?
900 feet. So, my guess here, and the problem we have on this side is, it's probably close to 900 feet just to get to the upland part of the project, so, that's the hurdles there. Not to say that, like with any regulation, that you can't ask for waivers, from that, so if that's something the commission would feel really strong, that, geez, we really don't wanna have a connection through there for wetland impacts, that would be a follow-up discussion, from a planning standpoint, say, geez, could we live with a long cul-de-sac? I believe there are other
So
projects
it's a loop.
historically.
Sorry. What is a loop considered dead end? Like, I mean, you have, get rid of all this and have this community go, like, something like that?
Yes, we don't own this property.
Oh, I see.
But it depends on who you ask. So essentially you can look at it a couple different ways. Like you take this for example, if you were to cut the road up here and you have kind of a big long lollipop, some would say, well, this is still a dead end because you only have one access in. We've had, it's a lot of emergency folks that'll say, what if something happens at this entrance here, there's an accident or something blocking the road, and now they can't get into up here. So, how are they gonna get that access? What does, then it gets back to some of the rural firefighting standards where hydrants need to be 500 feet apart. It's those kinds of things, it's that access. So, yes, I think so. Sometimes we'd argue that maybe on this one, like if we stopped it here, that maybe this might be the dead end length, but someone could very easily say, well, no, this is your true dead end length because if something happens here, and we need to get to that point, that's how far away we are. But it's not to say that, various, boards over the years haven't granted, waivers on road length. I'm not sure how the planning board would entertain, a length here, but that, to try and meet those standards without having to ask for a waiver from the subdivision control law, we looked at looking for a connection through. Also on top of that, some more design specifics, is utilities. There's water and sewer available in Pearl Street, but not in this section of Matthews Street. And so that would be another design challenge where more than likely we'd probably try and have water and sewer connect through over to Pearl Street. So in that sense, we'd want to try and cross the wetlands as well. Now, let's say that you absolutely would never ever allow a crossing. I don't know if you have or not. In years past for a roadway, I think the follow-up discussion would be, could we at least have the utilities go through there as a possible option? But yeah, really we're trying to get
on Matthew Street, how far down Matthew Street is sewer?
From what I recall, it's probably close to where Mount Wachusett Community College is down there.
Yeah.
I also heard, like a veterans area up there, I don't know if that's a bit
Yeah.
further down the
Yeah.
street, but that was what DPW had mentioned during the,
Okay.
and for water too, getting back to the kind of the connection part, ideally, most DPWs and water engineers like to have looped water mains. You don't like to have dead end mains, they become stagnant, dirty, the water quality can be poor, so, even if we had water here, ideally, it'd be nice to tie the water main through, as part of the project.
Anthony, how come you don't give us colored maps like that? Cause these are
It's so
not
much easier.
It's easy to follow.
Can't see the zones
It just,
on
I mean,
this
people
wall.
do that a lot, and then I'm like, well, it doesn't help us any to help you guys. I mean, it's nice for you, but when we're trying to research this before the meeting, you can't see anything on there. I know you have some lines here, but with this topo, it's not easy to see.
Yeah, apologize for that.
Well, I know, I mean, it's just.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, yeah.
We can always suggest, there's color plotters, they could print these all out in color.
Yeah,
Oh, I
And
know.
so adjustments to mention, 'cause this, yeah, this is much more dramatic than this,
sure.
much more helpful too.
Yeah, apologize for that.
Yeah, if you could do that for when you come the next time.
Yeah.
And then explain to us in the commission, when you cross over a wetlands, what would the plan be?
So in this section, well, go to the big one, this is really the biggest one. So to keep the filling down to a minimum, well, I guess you can picture it, the road would need to be above the wetland elevation, otherwise the road would fail. So you need to be 3-4 feet or more above that wetland elevation that's there. And then if you could go to a 3-to-1 slope, you start sloping that off, you could be 15 to 20 feet out from the edge of the roadway on each side. That's gonna take up a much larger area, so to minimize wetland impacts, it'd be more cost to the project, we'd probably look at retaining walls along, you've probably seen a lot on various roads, as you're crossing culverts and wetlands, you have your roadway, sidewalk, grass, guardrail, retaining wall, down to the wetland. So to minimize that, we try and keep the work tight to the right of way, which is about 50 feet wide. And then to maintain hydraulic connections, probably have a series of culverts underneath the road to make sure water could pass freely back and forth as it went down.
And then would you replicate anything for the wetlands?
Absolutely,
Where would that go on this such a tight site?
Yeah, I mean, so there were some areas, there were some low areas, where are we? Let me just look at that, some low areas over in here that we could kind of open this up, it's kind of well suited for that, just some minor grading to do that, but yes, absolutely, we'd have to, at a minimum, 1-to-1, but we always like to try and go 2-to-1 if we can, I think everyone appreciates that, and we can create more wetlands than we lose. But that would definitely be something we would absolutely have to do, to replicate that.
Now, would the city adopt these streets, or would they be private?
Ideally, I think that the intent would be to be a city-owned street.
Have you gone before DPW or anything else on that?
I would,
Just small communication back and forth?
Yeah, mainly just from the review board, they spoke up during that as well, about like maintaining the drainage system and stuff of that nature as well, they expressed that issues with it too, so.
And what about stormwater on here, how would that be handled?
yeah, so I mean, it's gonna be, you have to meet the stormwater management standards, 100%. This is not a redevelopment, so there's no maximum extent practicable, it's 100%, so you're gonna have to meet your pre and post rates of runoff, your recharge, your water quality, and all of that. So you're probably gonna have a series of, ideally open detention basins or retention basins and filtration, series of catch basins, the manhole configuration, something like that is where I would see this to go.
And then you got some properties that are literally in the no-build zone, right?
So the properties are, I mean, the buildings we have out, but obviously the road, because it's a wetland crossing, absolutely, we're gonna have to, go through to get that crossing.
Oh, I know, there-
You don't have to, you have to do that as the way you have these lots drawn up now.
Yeah.
We can make these could be made into smaller lots and have more open space residential design concept going on.
Yeah, sure,
We're seeing, so these are,
this is
much
just,
denser.
this is.
Yeah, I understand,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
But, so I don't quite know the
Yeah.
scale, how many acres,
Yeah.
so I guess it does say this.
But I mean, I think it's, sure, this could go through a number of iterations, to work in more harmony with some of the other areas. But we could spend a lot of time tweaking, but if this is an absolute no-no, we're wasting our time, filling in some details here. So that's why we wanted to bring, and be right up front, we have two wetland crossings here. Is that something that can be entertained?
We have a project in town, it's down on Brookside Drive. Right? and there's two of them involved with it, and they're wildlife crossings underneath the road. They should be done there,
There are wildlife crossings, so we said?
just like a
Take it
bridge.
right out there and take a page.
These two of them.
I mean, that would, I mean, I think
I mean, I can see, you know, you're crossing in the middle of, you know, in the middle of the woods.
right, so you could almost treat this, like your stream crossing standards that are required.
Yeah.
Optimal where you have a required 6-foot clear span to allow,
Yeah.
you know, the large wildlife to go through there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so what that does, that just brings us up further above the bottom, but, yeah, you could do like a bottomless culvert, bottomless arch culvert, something like that, or a box culvert to get that.
Never did that before.
Go what?
We've talked about those culverts in
Oh, yeah.
great detail.
I just have to
Go ahead.
real briefly, what about the more minor, well, not minor, but less intrusive one down here in that southeastern corner? How
Yeah, so that
would you
one
do
is not so much of a crossing as, you know, a little bit of a filling. It's, the finger kind of comes up, and so our property line is right here.
Yeah.
So we're kind of pushing it as far over as we can to try and, you know, scoot by there. So same thing, we could put put a retaining wall to try and minimize that impact, but there's really no way to fit a required road through there without some impact. Now, I mean, for rough numbers, maybe you're 500 to 700 square feet of wetland filling on this one. You know, so it's, you know, probably less than 1,000 is our expectation, you know, for that. This one, you're above 10,000, 11, 12,000 possibly, on that crossing.
Does that wetlands connect under 140? It's cut off right there.
I'm not sure if there are culverts there. I mean, 140, you know, comes through, so it's bisected by 140. I'm not sure if there's a hydraulic connection. There might be.
Yeah.
There might be.
Well, we've done crossings obviously many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not something that's never been done, I guess.
No, look at the new middle school
Okay.
is a good one to drive through. I mean,
that? Huge ones,
yeah,
big
massive.
culverts, huge
Have
ones.
you been up there to see it?
The new element.
If you haven't,
I drive by there all the time for track meets, but I haven't.
Take a ride.
I will.
That's a nice school, but I mean, it's doable. And then some of the standards that we look for there, you could probably kind of entertain on this.
Yeah, I mean, so I think great comment, you know, wildlife passes, that's a great, so now you're looking at, this is not just a 24-inch pipe to make water go through, you're getting into an arch or a box, you know, something, with some heights and clear space.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there been any natural heritage studies or anything at all? Anything
So
on this?
we're outside, of any, you know, priority habitat or estimated habitat.
Okay,
With this amount of wetland filling, it brings in additional permitting. You know, you definitely would have to do a 401 water quality certification through DEP. Probably, off the top of my head, probably triggers an Army Corps of Engineers possible permit when you have this much wetland filling as well. So there's a lot more scrutiny that goes into this as well.
Yeah, I would have some serious pause on this, especially with that crossing. And, you know, especially with the, you know, they're 1.5 acre lots with 3 houses when there's sort of, I think there could be, again, depending on zoning, a higher density in a smaller part of this and let the rest of it
Well, I think
not
that's
being
it.
built on it.
And I think that I see what you're saying, but that doesn't get rid of the crossing.
Well, what if you didn't develop the northwest, that part?
Right, if you just did one property, not the other.
Yeah,
Right, I mean, it's-
and I know this requires some, you know, I'd be much more willing to accept, you have water here, so, you know, if you would stick to that part and leave that northwest part undone, I'm very feel better about that, and I understand, you know, so you don't want to use city water and all that.
right, I mean, so it's, and these are separate properties currently, separate owners.
Okay.
So we're looking to, you know, kind of, you know, tie them together, to make them both, you know, buildable in a sense. This one becomes, you could do it, but it's just a little more challenging. Have to have utilities come through there, water and sewer ideally.
could you double this up, double lane down at the bottom,
Make it a boulevard.
Yeah, instead of this crossing?
Well, that's something, that's a great comment, we've done that in other communities. That would be a follow-up discussion of the fire department and planning board as a means to say, okay, if we had literally two lanes, if one lane was blocked, you have another lane, would you be okay in having a long dead-end road? So that's absolutely something that we could inquire and.
It's less of an impact. And what's this circle right here? Is that just coincidence?
The
No,
purple?
No, up a little more. You see it?
Oh, the cul-de-sac?
Is-
Right here,
Maybe it's just coincidence.
that's a vernal pool, certified vernal pool. And so that's what we've highlighted here.
Oh, so that's changed, so that's, you've got some, yeah, okay, so that's different than this map I'm looking at right here.
That's what
You got
Yes,
houses
we
over here
moved this
now.
one up for that 100-foot, no disturbance that you guys have.
We put your bylaws call for 100-foot non-disturbance
Yeah,
around vernal
right,
pools, which, Wetland Protection Act does not have. So this is the 100-foot buffer around what the vernal pool is shown on the map.
Okay.
Yes. To give you an idea of
You should
proximity.
probably call that out on our next, when you come before us again.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, a boulevard entrance is a great
I just think it'd be less of an impact here
Yeah,
No,
that's,
that's
that's kind of what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, it's a great suggestion, you know, when we have more filling here.
Overall, less
but
of an
overall, less, you know, for that. Assuming that, you know, fire department will be fine, planning board, the fallback too is just gonna be the utilities. Let's say all that goes well and we get some really good feedback from the fire department and planning board, and we don't need to have a road here.
She's still updating that utilities.
How would you feel about like a temporary disturbance through the wetland? This wouldn't be a road, but it would be putting in a water and.
They do that a lot.
Force main, you know, through the wetlands and then restore it. It's kind of a follow-up also to DPW. If they're okay with having just buried pipe, or they want an access road, I mean, an access road would be not to the same level of a road, but that would be the other thing too.
But it would stop at the terra firma, it wouldn't go across the wetland, right?
Well, it depends, I mean, definitely some municipalities want to be able to drive over their utilities. In case you ever need to get out there for any reason, so I don't wanna speak on behalf of the DPW on what they may or may not
Okay.
require.
Yep.
I just wanted to
The way it
bring
lays
that
out,
up,
it doesn't look
as
like
full
it.
disclosure, as a potential.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm open to hearing some other ideas and options for us.
Yeah.
And then if, like I said, if you come before us, highlight all this stuff because it's hard to see on the drawing.
yeah,
And maybe, you know, come before us again with what you can do. Meet with some other commissions, see what they have. Maybe nothing to really say yes or no on, but I mean, we've done crossings before.
right, so it is something that you've done before.
We don't like it, but we've done it.
Right, but I mean, so I think. if-
Drive through the middle.
If I'm hearing correctly though, it's like I said, you've reluctantly allowed some before, but before you would entertain this, you wanna make sure that we've kind of vetted out some of the suggestions that were mentioned tonight. I think one of them being trying to get rid of this crossing altogether and see if other departments would allow maybe two cul-de-sacs with just a connection for utilities, something like that. That would be much more entertainable, I'm sure, from the commission.
Yeah.
It's 900 feet, how far is 900 feet in this thing, on this map?
So on this one, geez, you probably,
It's 160 scale.
so you're probably right up, was that what this cul-de-sac is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this circle here is 900 feet, so that would get us to here.
Yeah.
So basically it gets you to the property, then you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, and take that same thing here, you know, a little bit better on that side, cause, you know, right off of the road, you have the access to that upland portion. But again, the struggles over here is the utilities.
Yeah, well, and so, I mean, I don't want the onus for making this project work the way it should not be all upon us and all upon that crossing that big wetland, which is it's a 300-foot, you know, approximately 300, that's a big crossing. So, you know, maybe, so I just want to make it clear that, like, this is not all on us on that wetland. You could get a variance in the zoning to allow, that
Cul-de-sacs
and there's the option for denser housing. same number of houses, maybe some number of houses, and it's a much smaller footprint. It's not connecting those two at all.
Right, I think that's an ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, and whether you, yeah, if you can't build on that part, that's, maybe, I don't wanna say so be it, but that's maybe not our
And then
concern.
this has been discussed a few times over the years. Have you done any research on the other proposals for that same lot?
No.
Not in my time, Doug, did you remember?
Yeah, there was a bankruptcy involved, and they were all set to do it, and there was a bankruptcy involved, the housing market went to hell and whatever.
Yeah,
And then the guy, he went bankrupt and he left town.
yeah.
Did he go to AFO?
No.
I just
There's a
wondering what you could learn from it, if you could find anything on that.
Have you walked that? Have you walked
I
that?
have not, no.
It's nice out there.
It's amazing, the wetlands out there.
Yeah.
Really. there's a
Yeah, has it
lot
been
of-
flagged recently, or you haven't done anything, just,
Yeah, we did, and field located those, yeah.
okay.
I mean, yeah, just looking at the map, you can see looks like a pretty magnificent wetland system, even from the map.
Yeah. And some good upland areas too.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that, where the wetlands are and try to get it all together, but, yeah, I think great input, appreciate, that, and if you have anything else, feel free, but I think I've got a general sense that, yep, you've done it, you want them, nope, are there other, please vet out every other option possible
Yeah.
before we come back and say, hey, can you give us something like that? So I
The
think-
next time you come back, bring your wetland scientist with you,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, you're getting closer and closer.
Yeah, I mean, when
So,
we
you know,
actually
really-
submit something, I mean, you'll have more than just this, you'll have a very large set of plans.
Yeah.
But before we went any forward, we wanted to do just this, have this kind of roundtable
Yeah.
discussion and see, I kind of got what I expected, but we wanted to give you the courtesy and kind of show you where we're at and
Okay.
where things are going,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate the input.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, do we wanna have, I think it would probably make sense, after you've had meetings with zoning and DPW and fire or whatever,
Yeah,
to draw some, different, even if there's sort of sketches and just talk to us, that would
Yeah,
make
I
sense?
think it's-
As opposed to having,
Yeah, I
having
would
the.
get their input and then just kind of
Find out why.
implement it and keep kind of sharing it with Justin, he'll keep us
before
abreast.
we jump head first into
Yeah,
the design,
yeah.
come back
All right.
and follow up discussion, like, hey, this is what we've learned.
Yeah,
Give you an update.
all right,
Thank you very much, really appreciate your time tonight.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next on new business, the Lithuanian Outing Association preliminary permitting discussion for proposed beach nourishment project. This is actually at 23 Airport Road. Is anybody here from the Lithuanian Club? No? So, yeah, they did come before us, if you guys remember this.
That same one.
Yeah, back in 2021, they dumped a lot of sand out there and
Sweeping,
no, it was caught off of a pit.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but we did get them tested and all that stuff. So Justin did some research on beach nourishment. You can kind of give us a synopsis of what you found and what your discussions were with the Lithuanian Club.
So after a little bit of phone tag with the Lithuanian Club, they scheduled a quick impromptu site visit in order to go out there and kind of observe where they wanted
From
to
last time.
bring in some sediment fill in order to replenish or nourish their beach. From what I understand, they want to bring about 3 to 6 yards worth of material in to replenish certain areas where there seems to have been a little bit of corrosion. After conversations with DEP, because it's adding sediment to a beach, which is, even though we're not on the eastern seaboard kind of thing, they still exist, around great ponds and some riverfronts. So, it, under their guys, it counts as a category 2 activity, which is inducive of a notice of intent. I understand, well, from discussions with the Winning Club, I believe they were supposed to also be here tonight to kind of seek preliminary guidance, for going into the permitting process, especially because, notices of intent, they are, kind of the commission's bread and butter with, having them under a purview, but we do also understand that, they're not everybody's cup of tea or bread and butter, so it's good to kind of help prepare those that might not be used to the process. Do you mind if I excuse myself for a minute to see if there's any
Yeah,
correspondence?
please, go for it. So I guess, those of you that are new to the commission, this happened before, they dumped a bunch of soil on there, or sand, and somebody on the pond called us and said, what's going on over there? So we did go out, they couldn't give us a bill laden type of situation on the soils that were dropped, the sands. So they got it tested, and we kind of worked with them on it. My concern is that they're gonna keep doing this every few years, that was back in 2021.
Yeah.
And now we're, 4 years later, and they're back at it again. I think the problem might be upland of that, they need to that's kind of where they do some parking and stuff up there. So I think it's not just throwing some sand on there every so many years and calling it a day. I think they need to rectify whether it's kind of washing and eroding.
So is this where they're parking? So it's, so this is where they park?
Yeah.
Is that the beach you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it doesn't look the same there, but
so
yeah, it is it.
is that sandy?
Yep.
Where they park?
No, on the top, it's kind of gravelly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the key is they have to show purity of sand or whatever, right?
Yeah, so that's what we had to do last
Some
time.
key places do that, they didn't do it last time, but
Yeah,
we
so,
have to get that in advance.
yeah,
Like ensure the purity, because you can test these sands to make sure it's not like road islands, whatever.
You want me to sign this?
no, so, I'm just concerned that they need to fix the erosion up in the parking area first, and then we can discuss how much soil or sands they wanna bring in, but it requires an NOI, so my point is, I think we just send them, they need to follow the NOI process. And they shouldn't do anything before, but they need to come before us and explain how they propose stopping that erosion up above on the, cause it's just, when I was there, it comes down over the parking and goes into the beach, so.
The last time we did it, they had to have that soil tested, and it was $4,000. So I think they got
Well,
they
if
got
they spend,
spanked, and then now they're trying to do it the right way.
right, and I guess
Which is
they're
good.
concerned about costs and everything, I can't control what things cost.
No.
So, if you could just kind of, anything else you wanna add, no communication?
I haven't received any last minute communications from them, so, yeah, I'll just reach out, see if they can,
Yeah.
regroup and.
Yeah, regroup and they can come before us, but it's gonna be an NOI process.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.
Professional development, do you have any updates there?
I aced my midterm for my first course for my professional certificate in sustainable water management.
Good job.
And, I'm gonna be continuing through that 3-course program, and wish me luck.
Great.
Yep.
Also, going back on new business, we're having an issue with, Saunders Road, it's 122 Saunders Road. There's, ATV activities driving under, kind of around this property on the front yard and up and down and potentially through the wetlands. I did ask, Justin to take a ride by, and take a look, and he pulled this map up. I've been in contact with the people that made their report, a couple houses down. I did witness it, I heard it, it's obnoxious, it's muddy, it's wet.
Yeah.
It needs to be addressed, so what we're gonna do is just send a communication to the property owner. We'll send them this map and explain to them the situation.
Yeah.
And then we'll notify the police and cease and desist
Yeah.
if we need to.
Sure, nip it at the bud.
Yeah, it's bad,
Yeah.
it's
And where is that, what's
Saunders,
Where in Saunders?
it's 122 Saunders. So. All right, anybody else have anything else? Anybody, have any other new business that they wanna bring up? No? Someone like to make a motion to end tonight's hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Someone to second that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No? Thank you, have a good night, everybody.